came for the Hear Me Outs, staying for the really good other videos she has. Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Jack the Hack, the ultimate copycat of myself. So yeah, today we're doing something a little bit different. Now, I've done reactions before, but nothing really to this sort of extent. I think the last thing I reacted to was probably like a couple years ago. Whatever, right? This is about a thing that I can actually give a good analysis about. Give like good conversation about. This seems like a very good conversation. Pseudo conversation, that is, right? This is Sofie No Sleep. For a lot of people would know her from her Hear Me Out series. I know her from her Hear Me Out series, but I've also seen a couple other of her videos. And I know a couple things. And you know, she just came out with this video around like 6 hours ago, I think. So I just thought like right now, I think I came back from eating and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll react to this. I'll try to. I will give a couple of disclaimers. One, my opinion, it's my opinion, right? I'm going to give my opinion, whether you agree or disagree, just let me know. I want to engage with people of any community, CRK, mine, just in general, right? So yes, this is going to be my opinion that I'm going to try to react to, or react with more so, right? And secondly, I don't know how long Sofie has been playing Cookie Run Kingdom. I will tell you that for me, I started in March towards the end of the Pure Vanilla update. I think it was the Compassionate Pure Vanilla update when I just remember Black Sapphire Cookie being the banner cookie, and then like the season like ended a little bit after that. Like I joined on like the 3rd of March. So I guess I would be considered a new gen cookie, so my perspective is going to be in sort of that, but I'll try my best to like hear people out. And that's really the whole thing, like literally hearing people out. I want to hear Sofie out on why she thinks the Cookie Run Kingdom fandom ruins the character. Now, before we get started, I see this and I'm immediately thinking, okay, I wonder what's going to be, if it's necessarily like this is a thing that other fandoms have a lesser extent of, if that makes sense. Like this exists in other fandoms, but this especially is like really bad, or if it's something like actually new, right? So I just kind of want to react to this video, get my thoughts on it. If you like it, please go check out the original video because I will be pausing a lot. If you don't like that, watch the original video. I'll probably just put it in the description. Just go watch it. But without further ado, with all that yapping out of the way, let's get this started.
So, a few weeks ago, or days, because frankly I can't tell anymore, but a while ago I asked you all, what were some characters, some cookies that were ruined by the fandom? And I got...
Ruined by the fandom? Of course. Okay, good start to the video. That is sort of an interesting question. I wouldn't say it's necessarily... Well, for me, it doesn't... Like, if a fandom thinks one way of a cookie, of like a character, like, I'm just sort of looking at it as if I'm looking at a book for analysis, right? I sort of see how I analyze and how other people analyze and what we can go about from that, right? To say it ruins a character, I don't know if it's like for you or for the fandom thinks this way of this character, which has altered my perception about the character. I don't know if that's what you're going... I think that's exactly what you're going for, I want to say. What would they say? I mean, I guess... probably the really popular ones, right? Like Pure Vanilla, Shadow Milk. I don't think so, but I'm just thinking like, you know, those are some of the most popular Cookie Run... Not only some of the most popular Cookie Run Kingdom characters, but you can make an argument in like Cookie Run as a whole, right? In that sort of sector. There's more popular ones, but these are the ones that sort of been on that rise, and like, you know, it's kind of plateaued at that top or near the top that bit. So I wonder who the hated ones are.
A large pool and diverse...
Oh, really?
And I'm joking, I only got 10 answers, and it's the 5 Bs and the 5 agents. That's it. It's all of them. Repeat.
Oh, it's even worse than I thought. I mean, I could see it. The whole beast, there's the whole like, well, for one, there's the whole storyline of the ancients before BCs and during BCs, and especially the beasts during BCs, and that sort of thing. So, and they're pretty popular characters in the game. Like I said, some of which, like I said, even transcend like Cookie Run Kingdom through like other forms of media that just isn't the game. So their popularity coming with some sort of hate and especially misinterpretation, like in this story, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Am I glad it happened? No. But I'm just saying it makes sense as to why this is even occurring in the first place.
Copy paste all of them to save the same 5 cookies, the same 5 beasts.
I'm very surprised because you would think that there would be some people that would talk about like, I know a rebel cookie is sort of hated a little bit. Well, actually, quite a lot. Actually, I don't know. I just know that people don't like rebel cookie because of the simplistic design, which I don't why. Like, who cares? There's I was very surprised to figure out that Okachin, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Okachin cookie is another hated one. I found that out more recently. Aren't they? I also found out they're both from Oven Break, and then they came over to Kingdom, which I found that to be very interesting. And actually, I think it recontextualizes it because Oven Break is not like. It's like, okay, it came from Oven Break and it came here. It's sort of isn't it happening now too with like the Citrus Squad? Right? The Citrus Squad, people don't like their design because it's like... Actually, it was especially Lemon Cookie, I remember. Yeah, it was Lemon Cookie that's getting a lot of hate because his design is so-called simple. And it's like, guys, Lime Cookie was introduced like 6 years ago. That was before COVID, guys. Yeah.
To save 5 songs for the damn radio station. I did.
The same 5 songs play on the radio station. The same 5 songs. The same 5 songs. The same 5 songs. The same 5. Oh my gosh. I've heard that lyric in years. But it's so perfect though. The same 5 songs play on the radio station.
Get some answers that were like outliers from them. So we're gonna talk about as to why the sinful 10
Jeez.
why the sinful 10 are mostly just ruined by the fandom and why a lot of people, like may feel like they lost some appreciation of them because of the fandom. And I will talk about those little outliers too. I'll try to make this quick because like I can't go into too much detail because I feel
I will not go quick. I will take up a lot of detail. Or at least I'll try to explain to the best of my ability.
Like, if I go into detail, then that can just be applied for, like, a lot of these, hence why I'm gonna condense it all. Anyways, let's get right on to it. So,
Let's do
I just
this.
want to get one of the big sins of the fandom in the way. I just want to get that in the way. And, like, one of the very big reasons as to, like, why these characters are just ruined by the fandom is the rampant sexualization of them. Like, again, like I said...
Yeah, that is it's any fandom, really, that's sort of like I think that's sort of a big problem with any fandom. But then again, like, anybody makes something, like, as stupid as Rule 34 is, like, as a rule, it is sort of true that, like, not any fandom is going to get that sort of, what's it called? It's going to get that sort of, like, art and those people who joke in that sort of sexual way. So I wonder if you're going to talk... So I wonder... And I know it's been a thing. I know it's been a thing, especially with the more popular ships in this community. I just wonder if it's a really big problem or if it's just present enough to where it could be considered a problem with this fandom. That sort of minority of people having this suggestive content based around these cookies is going to be like if it's present or if it's like if it's present enough, like that sort of minority is sort of present. Like you go into the fandom and that's what you immediately see. That's basically like what I'm trying to wonder.
Said in my previous video here, I understand it. You know, there are adults here. But the problem is that it has left containment. It has left the not safe for work area. These suggestive jokes have gone way too far to straight up just borderline literally inappropriate stuff, which I cannot say the name of, but
yeah,
you get what I mean though. The bad thing about this is that this sexualization not only leaves like a stain on the character, but it low-key kind of becomes part of the character because I am not joking with you.
I don't know about part of the character. I think the fandom's perspective of the character. I'm not hearing about any sexual content with like Pure Vanilla Cookie, let's say, and being like, oh my gosh, this is making me really rethink what Pure Vanilla is as a character. Like, no. But then again, I could see that with like other people, right? That can be kind of understand. It's just that with me, it's just sort of like, okay, like this is sort of like I'm sort of separating it. Like I hear about this and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna engage with it, but I know that this is a fan's perspective of the character. As long as it doesn't go too far, it should be fine. It should be fine. But like you said here, it is sort of starting to become that like norm, that like, oh, new cookie, really cool, popular cookie, must get sexualized. Like, yeah, that's definitely a big problem. And I could see it like sort of staining the character, especially for people who see the fandom first before they get into the actual game. Like when they actually, at that point when they actually play the game, that's what I think the big problem is, that like they have that in the back of their mind, and then when it comes about, and then when they see the actual character, they're like wondering like, oh, why is this so different than what the fandom is portraying? And it's like there's a difference between like a fandom's portrayal and like a fanon portrayal. You know what I mean? Or like a fanon portrayal, like a headcanon that goes a little bit too far and makes you think that that's part of the character. I know Has-Been Hotel, when the episodes like finally came out like a year and a half ago, right? When those were coming out, I know a lot of people were getting like, and it happens with a lot of other fandoms too, where people come up with these headcanons and then the actual like canon content comes out and people are mad because it doesn't fit their headcanon. That is a problem, and that is what seems to be the problem with this. At least one of the big problems in this in the Cookie Run Kingdom community.
Biggest interpretation of Shadow Milk I always see is him being very sexual with others. Like,
really? I must be out of the loop, because I know people think of him as like this, you know, I joke about it sometimes too, but that's what's supposed to be a joke. People joke that he's like a blue twink, like the blue twink, right? I've heard people joke about that. I did not know people were going that far. Okay, that is, I mean, okay, there's a difference. But I think that is sort of a problem if people are seeing him as just sexual as opposed to like his character and also he's sexual. But then again, it's also Cookie Run Kingdom. I don't think this game is made for kids, right? But I don't think it's really made for adults. I think it's like blue. It's like bluey, but if the target, I don't know. It's sort of like general. You know how bluey is like a general audience sort of thing. I think it's sort of like that, but I wouldn't give my 8-year-old this game, right? That would make that. I just think that like if you're mature enough to play this game, I don't know. I just know that it isn't like kids show type of audience, but more so just like if you're adult, you're like it. If you're like a junior high kid or something, like 6th grade or whatever, and you play it, okay, that's fine too. But I don't think, like even then, I don't think it's necessarily, I think, I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a lot of instances in Cookie Run Kingdom where a character is being inherently sexual. I think the most we get is that like romantic sort of connotation. Like, I know with Eternal Sugar, there's a lot of romantic subtext, right? Where she thinks of Hollyberry so much more than just the other half of her soul jam. It's something similar to that. I don't think it's really sexual. I think that's sort of a case of like the fan going a little bit too far. I think a little bit too far with the personality, because we know how Shadow Milk acts, but I think they just sort of take that, they like add the sexual component. It's like, oh yes, this makes sense for a little headcanon. But then they like actually, they go like a little too far, make you think that it's actually canon, and then it's just like, okay. And that's, at that point, it's like, okay, I think we're misconstruing the character a little bit here.
Jokingly, but also literally. It's like, it gets to a point. It just leaves a stain, and it just becomes this part of this fanon of, it becomes like part of this like fanon, like canon, but like for fans only.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I completely agree. Like I said, it's just sort of the thing that's like even if you play the game and then see the fandom and then keep playing the game or like go back to look at something, I think you're right. I think it can leave that sort of stain on like not only the character itself, but also like the fandom as a whole, the game as a whole. You can get these like really extreme people too who think that, oh, the game, it's all like this because the character that the fans want a headcanon are making him seem this way. And it's like, guys, first of all, I mean, dude, come on.
This fanon of the character, it leaves a mark, and it sucks. Like, I'm not
I
saying
agree.
that adults can't have fun. I'm saying that it needs to be toned down, because at the end of the day, we gotta remember that, first of all, this is a children's game. Second of all,
Whoa. Okay, wait. No, I agreed with you until this point. I am going to respectfully, of course, I want to create, like I said, I just want this video to be this sort of conversation where we can hear each other out, basically. I want to hear you out, I just want to hear you out and get my thoughts on it. That's all I want, right? I don't think this game is a kid's game. Like I just said, this game, I would not give my 8-year-old this game. I would not. If I had a kid, right, and he was like in junior high, and I went through their phone, and I saw Cookie Rakino on there, I'm not gonna like ground him because it's like, okay, fine. I mean, on the App Store, I think the last time I checked, the game was marketed towards like 12 years old and older. So, I mean, that is technically, I'm not gonna pull like a thing and be like, oh, if you're mature enough, like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, like, I don't think it's necessarily a kid's game. I think it is, I'm leaning towards more general audience, but more on like if you get into the game if you're like junior high or about to be a teenager, I think it's fine, right? I think it's perfectly fine because you have to consider the following. Right? This game looks like it's made for kids. I don't think it's made for kids, but I don't think it's a children's game. Because especially I think how it's portrayed is like a children's game. Like, one of those, some like Toka Boca town type of, or like Toka Boca, like, you give an iPad to your kid with like the game on it and like, they screw around while you just don't do parenting, right? I don't think it looks like that, but there's a lot more that goes into the game, especially in the story. The stories they give are like very like existential and like definitely has more adult themes. Like, I think I even remember Dark Cacao. There's multiple instances where Dark Cacao like disowns and stuff. I think it was in Beasties where Dark Cacao just straight up says, something along the lines of, my only regret was ever calling you my son. Of course, talking to Dark Choco Cookie. And there's so many more instances. There's also these like little minute details that if you really think of, it's like the equivalent of like the SpongeBob episode where he's like, I forget if he's trying to get Gary in the bath, but it's more so like, oh, what's it called? Like, remember where it's like, oh, look, doubloons, don't drop them. And he's talking about like the soap, right? It's sort of like one of those like adult jokes in children's shows that you get years later, or get when you're older, you know? Like if a kid sees like strawberry jam, it's like, yeah, okay, but when you like are older and you think about it, it's like, oh, strawberry jam is their blood, crumbling is dying, you know, stuff like that. Still, I wouldn't say that. I don't think it's a kid's game. I don't think it's an adult's game. I think general audiences can enjoy the game, but I would not get my, like I said, I would not get my 8-year-old into the game, or any 8-year-old into the game. I just sort of disagree on that. Respectfully, of course. I don't want this to feel like an attack. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I can't believe you would talk about that. Like, okay, it's like whatever. It's just a thing I disagree with, and that's all.
Children here. And third of all, there's a time and place for things, alright? And like this kind of suggested stuff, it is not, it should not leave containment.
Real.
Alright, I'm not sure what to call this section, but another reason as to why the Big Ten has been tainted by the sins of the fandom is because of these three things that I can kind of put them into one, and it's flanderization and just jokes taken way too far, and you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is a big problem with this fandom. Oh my goodness. That and just like people misinterpret, like not just misinterpreting the characters or just getting like one trait of the character and just slapping the label, yes, like slapping it on them, but just like the story as a whole, like people will miss the entire point of the story, especially the BC's episode with Shadow Milk and Pure Vanilla. They will miss the entire point of it. Now, I do not remember a lot of the story, so I can't really say all too much about it. I need to go back and really watch that story and pay attention. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I agree. That is one of the biggest sins in this fandom, is that, and it's not everybody, but it's like it's a big focal point. It's a lot of people being like this, and then getting mad if people say like, oh, it's not really that. Now, a lot of art is up to interpretation. However, when it comes to story, there's a lot of subjectives when it comes to a story, like in its interpretation, but there's also a lot of objectives, especially with how the character is acting towards another character, right? Now, we can talk possibilities, but we have to consider that like the possibilities after a story, like especially after a BC story ends, is not even canon. Like, not even canon to the actual story. Like if you say, oh, Shadow gets redeemed by Pure Vanilla. Okay, but like that's not really canon though. In fact, he actually, from what I remember, he like actively dismisses it. You know, curse you and all that. When Pure Vanilla tries to do that, right? But, you know, it could be a nice little headcanon, but when there's a point where the headcanon becomes out of control to where people do that, where the stain is left behind and sort of and has them like misinterpret the story and think that it's something else.
But I feel like jokes are taken way too far can lead to one or the other. If you don't know what flanderization is, it's taking one trait of a character and like accelerating it to the next level, like accelerating it that becomes like the only trait of the character. Example, Mystic Flower.
By the way, shout out Ned Flanders, my boy. Bro has the banger last name, and he made a banger concept out of it. I think that is cool.
You know, she turns Cookie into flower. She got the joke of being of whitewashing, being racist, and then suddenly
whoa, wait, that's a thing? Wait, people think she's like racist? Wait, I actually did not know that. Why? Is it because she turns people to flower? If that's so, then that's kind of dumb. That's sort of like the whole thing, right? Like they just think that that's the whole point of the character. Oh, she's racist. The dark cow has to go stop her. It's like no. She's turning him back to flower because she's what? Wait, I'm actually so baffled at this. This is actually so dumb. She's turning them back to flour because they're cookies. As TikTok Vic would say, they're cookies. They're cookies. Like it's like if some religious extremist was like, guys, I know how we could all feel better. We gotta return. The woman must return to the man's ribs, and the man must return to the dirt. Like, bro. And then they're just like, oh yeah, see, dirt is brown, so the dude's actually racist. It's like, no, that's where it's like where we came from. You know, that's what. You know, of course, I'm just kind of like. It's like, dude, there's no way people think she's racist. Really? That's actually kind of dumb, if that's the case.
That's all she is. No. That is highly...
It's not, in my opinion, it's not just like, oh, well, for one, thinking that she's just that is bad on its own, but it's thinking that she is in the first place. I actually think it's ironic because all cookies turning back to flour would make them the same. You know, flour. What do you, it is actually ironic. What?
Correct. Burning spice cookie. One of the reasons why he became a beast is because he's bored. It's deeper than that, by the way, but apparently the community
it literally just is. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about people just saying like, oh, he's bored, so he decided to just go destroy a bunch of kingdoms for fun. No, I could be wrong. I'm gonna talk about something lore-wise, and I could be wrong, but I think what I remember hearing somewhere is that the beasts are not only immortal or close to immortal, they were baked like that, I think. If I'm wrong, tell me. So the whole thing with burning spice is that I did just get back to a story recently. The whole thing with burning spice is that because of his longevity of life, you know, he's the herald. I think before he was the herald of change, and it's ironic. And the whole thing, the whole thing was that there was a scene, I think it's in the second part, where he's like, it's either in the second or first part, I don't remember, but it's like a flashback, and he's to one of the kingdoms he was ruling over, and he was talking to his servants or something, and this is one of the most popular lines in all of Cookie Run Kingdom, easily one of the most. It's when Burning Spice, it's when Burning Spice was on the cusp, right about when he was about to start Snap, and this was when he snapped and was like, how much longer do I have to endure this? Because his thing is that with his longevity, he's seen Kingdom rise and fall, and rise and fall. So he's like, okay, the kingdoms are just gonna rise and fall. I'm gonna just start destroying kingdoms and stuff. Because, you know, it's gonna fall anyways. Nothing is forever. There's a little bit more to that I could probably get to a video about, but that's the gist of it. That is the gist of it. He says he's bored because he's been seeing the same things over and over and over and over again, that he's basically gone so insane that he's just gonna wreak havoc because it's going to fall anyways. So it's either gonna fall by my hand or something else. That is what he's all about.
We cannot read past the first grade level. I progress. Okay, let's progress. Anyway, they literally just take that one aspect of it, exaggerate it, and now he's just a dumb, bored idiot.
He's just bored.
That's what I mean. It is
bored,
this exaggeration and this repetitive joke of one character trait that it just becomes that character. And it just really ruins it because these two characters are obviously more than just these two aspects and jokes about them. But unfortunately...
Yeah, and it's not just them, it's the other beasts and ancients that is also... I think recently it just came out that Silent Salt was going to be a dude. And there were some people that were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe god, stepsisters, how could you do this? We need, why don't we get another woman beast? You know, we need more female knights. As if raspberry cookie, financier cookie, koyamon, and other cookies that I'm not mentioning are not there. Oh, where's our girl boss? There are many girl bosses in here. You can make the argument that all the girls in this game are girl bosses. Like, what? Like, have they not? Her whole thing. Oh my gosh, dude. You're right, Sofie. These people do not read in between the lines. But yeah, Silent Soul, I heard it's gonna be a dude, and then people got mad, and it's like, okay, like whatever. I think people thought that it was gonna be like, this reminds me of the time. Remember when Hotel Transylvania 4, that trailer came out, and like that was the movie where they turned like human, I think, and you know the Invisible Man like turned human, and people got mad, I think, because they were like, oh, how dare the Invisible Man not be this hot dude that I've been seeing everywhere? How dare the actual interpretation be different from what I thought or from what other people thought? It's like, wow, it's almost like, say what you want about Hotel Transylvania 4. They are the ultimate, the people who, I forgot who made Hotel Transylvania, but like, those are the people making the movie and like the characters and stuff, I think, and this might sound crazy, might have the final say on like the character, all the facets about it, and not necessarily the fandom. Right? There's a difference between like theorizing and headcanoning, thinking like, you know, oh, I think he might look like this, and just straight up headcanoning and taking it as actual canon. I think that was a big problem in Hazbin Hotel as well. Actually, with Hell of a, I don't know if it was with Hell of a Boss. I remember Hazbin Hotel being like that, because, you know, there's, between the pilot and the actual, like, first season coming out, there was like a 5-year gap, so people kind of had to, like, do a bunch of comic dubs and fill in the gaps and all that. And so when the actual show came out, I know, it wasn't as big as this, it's the Silent Salt one I'm seeing a lot, but there were still some number of people that were like, oh, I can't believe that they did My Boy like this. And it's like, oh, it's different from the pilot. It's like, wow. It's almost like the pilot is not... Typically, a little side tangent. I don't think people understand that the pilot isn't necessarily meant to be the beginning episode. The pilot is more so supposed to be a showcase to studios to you know, get to be on the air. You know, it's called a pilot because you want the show to take off because of it. You know, like an airplane, right? There are 2 instances of a show that I can remember right now off the top of my head where the pilots are the first episodes. One is Sam and Cat, which, remember Sam and Cat, dude? That was a banger show. I don't care what anybody says. And then 2, more recently, is The Amazing Digital Circus. That pilot got so popular that it just became the first episode, which, okay, that's fine. That's cool. And if you want to make, there's people who make the pilot the first episode, but that's not the norm. I would say that's not really like the first episode isn't always going to be like a pilot. That's why you see some show, like if you see some shows like picking up off of somewhere, it's because the pilot's job is to set everything up. So if the first episode is like something random, right, or some random thing, it's not necessarily introducing anything, just know that there's a pilot before, most likely there's a pilot beforehand, right? That hasn't been shown or isn't being considered part of the canon. Because things can change. You'll see this at Hazbin Hotel. There's a lot of changes between the pilot and the actual first episode. People need to understand that. Anyways, let's continue with the video.
Finally, that they become that because of the fandom, and low-key might have affected the English interpretation of them as well. The hyper over.
I wish I had a lot to say about that. I just know that there's some I know that there's some differences between like the Korean and the English version of Cookie Run Kingdom, but it's fine. But there's only like a handful of scenarios that I can barely remember it, but I just know that there's like one or two. And it's not even like big changes, it's more so just like the subtext or like the connotation, right? It's not as bad as, let's say, some dubs in the early, some anime dubs in the early 2000s.
Simplification of their characters essentially ruins their character and like ruins like a perspective and understanding of them, because like they're no longer,
in my opinion, for me, no, but I can understand for other people. I just sort of like hear people out on like, oh, this character's this. It's like okay. Or like, oh, I think of this character as this. It's like, okay, cool. That's awesome. As long as you understand that that difference between the fanon, your headcanon, and the canon itself, I think it should be fine. What I'm seeing right now, and what Sofie's seeing, and a lot of people in the Cookie Run Kingdom fandom are seeing, is that these lines between headcanons, fanons, and actual canon, is that the line between those are sort of getting blurred, so that when people get into the fandom, or like get into the game then the fandom, they can sort of get confused, and their perspective on the character can like can range from like, okay, that's a little bit weird, to this is just straight up wrong.
seen as like, you know, what they're supposed to be seen as, like their deep messaging, their nuance. That is no longer seen. They're just seen as this one thing, as this one joke, as this one aspect of themselves, and that's it. Now this is another
totally a big problem. I'm just gonna say, my little boy, my little them, my little creature, my little being is right there. Oh my gosh, I love poison. Sorry. Poison mushroom cookie mentioned, right? Not my favorite cookie, but certainly a really cool one. I love poison mushroom cookie. Yeah, shroomies. You know, that was a really bad impression. I think poison mushroom's a little lower than that, but. You know, whatever. I'm getting off topic. I just, you know, poison mushroom cookie mentioned, right? My bad.
Popped up more recently. And by popped up, I mean, like, I haven't really thought about it until people pointed it out, and it's true. And it's hatred in association. A lot of people don't like Royal Mandarin because of his minigame. A lot of people find Wedding Cake Cookie annoying because of her role in the latest cake minigame.
No, I get what you mean now. Oh, I would say it's well, actually wait. I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but it is a problem. It is a problem, but with like certain characters, I feel. I did not do the Moral Margarine minigame. I did do the wedding. The wedding update was like the first actual update I've done, right? And that was actually my first, because you know how Cookie Run Kingdom has like a lot of like prolific voice actors. I gasped. I mean, I gasped when I found out that the voice actor for Finn the human was Gingerbrave, right? But when I learned that Black Forest Cookie is voiced by Chelsea Rebecca, oh my gosh, mind blown. Like all over the place. Like it's brain all over the floor, all over the screen. Like that actually like shocked me. And like, but like the actual update itself, I really liked the update, and I really liked the cake shop. It was very, like, when Wedding Cake didn't show up, it was very chill, very nice. I really liked figuring some of the stuff out, for the orders. I did have to look some up though, but like, please tell me who wouldn't look up Candy Diver's order. Like, however, I am part of the majority who didn't like the fact that Wedding Cake Cookie would just come in unannounced. Like, I think her, like, timing you wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't so random. I swear, I remember getting her, like, I kid you not, I remember getting her, like, coming in for, like, 3 customers in a row. I actually got so mad. It's like when I see an Edgar on my team in a solo showdown, I, like, force quit the app and I uninstall the game. Kidding. But it feels like that. Like, I didn't like that. I think if it was like every 5 or 10 times wedding cake would come in and it would be this sort of like, it's a hard order, but like, she's also timing you. And also, like, maybe she's adding stuff. Whatever. I don't care about that. I think if it was sort of like fixed and set in stone, every 5 times you order, right? Because I think you would only do you typically only did like 5 per day, right? Or 5 or 10. So what they should have done, in my opinion, was every 5th or 10th order, a hard order would come in. Or let's say this, every 5 orders, a hard order would come in, right? And then every 10th, wedding cake cookie would come in and, come in like Team Rocket and like show absolute devastation by adding a timer, right? I think that would make more sense and it would actually it's like a boss peg in Nubby's Number Factory or like a boss round or what's it called? Boss ante. Yeah, that's right. It's called like a boss ante in Ballatra. The problem is that they didn't do that. They just made it like super random, and I didn't like that because I couldn't really plan around it. Like, imagine if you got I don't even know if it was fixed. They did a really bad job at fixing it. Oh, whatever. But even though I didn't like how wedding cake was implemented, it's not even indicative of her character. Like, when I see that, I'm just like, I don't care, this is just a mini game. What I'm being indicative of when it comes to her character is what she, the voice lines and like the character description you see, as well as the story that was presented. Those are really the things that I'm looking after when I consider the specific canon of her. By the way, that was one of my favorite stories, like, in my opinion. I really like the wedding cake cookie, Black Forest cookie story. I thought that was really well done. I still frequently go back to it. I just think it's that good. But whatever, right? Just because of the cake shop minigame, I think it's dumb to take a role in the game and be like, oh yeah. Or in like a minigame that is very much implied to not be canon, right? And just her be like, and people just be like, oh well, she friggin' sucks, dude. Like, I just think that's dumb, in my opinion. It's like, why?
Which, and on one hand, it's understandable, but on the other, it shouldn't blind you for, purely, hate this character because there's this one thing they just happen to be associated with. Now, don't get me wrong, people are also just allowed to be haters, because, that can...
That is so true. If you're gonna be a hater, right? I feel like if you're gonna be a hater, you need to be a hater with purpose. That's the problem with haters nowadays. They hate for the sake of hating. Like, they're not getting paid. Like, they're a volunteer hater who just who's like the not very interested in their hating. However, if you're a cool hater who actually comes up with reasons as to why they want to hate something, even if it's irrational. Actually, no, it shouldn't. Even if I don't agree with the reasons you're hating a character, at least you're hating for a reason. There's people who hate for no reason. But here's the thing. Even if you hate for a reason, you have to hate for a good reason. You have to hate with a purpose. You need to be a professional hater, right? If you don't like, if you don't like a cookie, and you give a good reason why you don't like the cookie, fine. Okay, that's fair. When you're just like, oh, I hate this cookie for this really dumb reason, it's just like, okay, whatever. And if you hate the cookie for no reason, it's just like, why? Yeah, you're right. People are allowed to be haters. Yeah.
Happen, that's fine, I don't like seeing wizard cookie on my gacha because that means I'm gonna get an awful pull. but
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree with that, and I do think I think it's also the other way around too for some people, because Because custom cookie is one of the indicators where you get like an epic plus cookie guaranteed, but people don't like custard cookie. There's people who just don't like custard cookie.
I don't let that one aspect of him ruin, taint the whole character of him, you know? Lastly, yeah. I want to talk about a more serious phenomenon that happens with every fandom, but it's happening.
But wait, what? Don't the other things happen with fandoms as well? I feel like what you've talked about also applies to other fandoms. It's like the flanderization, especially. People will misconstrue a character. They can say right to your... There could be a character who could say to your face, I am a murderer. I murder people and eat them for breakfast. And it will just go over the head. It will go over their head like an airplane. Like, he seems to have some murderous intent, but I think there's more. It's like, no. It's like, if there's a character that's just about murdering, then they're about murdering. If the character says they eat people for breakfast, and they show themselves eat people for breakfast, I don't think that's up to speculation. I think that the character is eating somebody for breakfast, and it's a murderer.
Here, and very, very badly, and that is unhealthy attachment to characters.
Yeah.
Like the
I like as much as like the like I love the hear me outs, especially the second episode because it's more unhinged. The video that you did, Sofie. It's just that. But I can see people going in there being like ironic with it. You know what I mean? Like they write a whole like doctoral dissertation and thesis defense on why they love the witch that appears in the gacha, right? And I think that's funny. And if people actually think that way, it's like, okay, that's fine, right? They have a cool like little interest towards this character. That's perfectly fine. I think it's when, like you said, there's a point where that becomes like way too much. And my thing is that when I ship characters, I look at the canon first of the character, and then I just sort of go from there. People don't do that. A lot of people don't do that, and I'm not going to really fault him on it. That's just who I am. I like to explain. I don't think you have to really, I don't think you should have to like go record and like, have you played like Guilty as Sock? Like something like Guilty as Sock or Ace Attorney where it's just like, you have to do this like whole defense on why you like this ship. I don't think that needs to be a requirement. Let me make that known. It's just that how I do it, that is how I like to ship characters. I think the big thing, I haven't seen the video yet, I need to watch the video of why you don't like Beast Cross the Ancient ships. It's understandable why you wouldn't like them, right? Some of them I can sort of understand. Some of them is just like, this could make sense. Like, I ship Hollyberry and Eternal Sugar. I can explain why I think Hollyberry and Eternal Sugar is why I ship them and why I think they're a good ship. I'm not going to say that it's completely canon. I'm not using the fanon, I'm not using my headcanon to dictate the canon. I'm using the canon to help with how I want to portray how I want to see the characters in my headcanon. It does not mean that I think that this is canon. Any romantic relationship between them has not been discussed in Cookie Run Kingdom as of right now. I just want to make sure people know that. I don't think that. But the really cool thing about like shipping is that you can get two characters you like and you can ship them together, and if it makes you happy and if they're legally consenting, I think it should be fine. I think it's completely fine. Otherwise, it becomes a big problem.
Fans of this game, sometimes they get attached to a character to an incredibly unhealthy degree. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a character or have a favorite character. Hell, look at me. I love Espresso Cookie. I am Espresso Cookie.
Exactly.
I see Espresso Cookie, I immediately post on my Twitter for everyone to give me every single new detail that happens with the guy.
Yeah, that's honestly, not sort of the same way, but like the passion you have towards espresso cookie, I feel the same way with black lemonade cookie. That is my favorite. She is my favorite cookie in the game. I literally bump Transfigure on a bi-daily basis. Like, sometimes I'll listen to that song multiple times in a day. I loved her story in the Summer Soda Rock Fest special episode. I just liked the character in general. So I get what you mean when you when it comes to really liking a character. And like other fandoms too, like even other characters, they're not my favorite, but I still really like them, right? I think Hollyberry is a very interesting character because I think Hollyberry is a very multifaceted character because I think she's the ancient who is the most well put together ancient, but also the one who's in most need of therapy. Well, actually, wait, yeah, I think so. Well, the last point is a little bit debatable. Well, I think because her whole thing is that she's sort of the therapist of the group, but there's not really a lot of people who are, I wouldn't say not there for her, but she needs help as much as the other ancient do. That's what I'm trying to say.
Love espresso cookie. But what I
love
don't
black
do
lemonade.
though is attack other people for liking him, attack other people for shipping him with themselves or other else, attack other people for having headcanons. Some of you just have an incredibly unhealthy attachment to a character, so much so that
As someone who's new gen, or technically considered new gen, I see it a lot with Shadow Milk. Easily the most popular cookie in the game. Even more than Gingerbrave, I'm gonna say. The influence of Shadow Milk Cookie that Shadow Milk Cookie has had on Cookie Run Kingdom and its fandom cannot be understated. There are so many people who obsess over who they call the blue twink.
some of you are willing to ruin other people's lives for it.
Oh,
That is just unfair. And you know what? There's an opposite one of this too. An unhealthy hatred for this character.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't I can be a Shadow Milk hater too. I appreciate him as a character, but I'm low-key a hater. Do you see me going around and wishing people death for liking a character? No.
Yeah, that's sort of that is a big problem. I think you're right. This is the most serious problem that the fandom has. Okay, let me say this right now. This game sort of has that Pokemon effect where every cookie in the you know how in Pokemon there's 1,000 Pokemon, 1,025 as of right now, but there's going to be a set of fans for every single Pokemon, from the most the Pikachus and Gengars and Charizards to Whirlipede, right? Or the most obscure Pokemon. Cookie Run Kingdom is the same way. There's a lot of people. It does not matter how many haters there are. There's always going to be fans for every cookie in the game. However, you make a very good point in the sense that it should be common sense. I don't know why this isn't, but you shouldn't be telling people to kill themselves or to die or to send death threats because this person shares an interest in a cookie, in a character, in a 2D image, in a video game, in a gacha game, who doesn't share that with you. Look, I'm not the biggest Shadow Milk lover, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, if you like Shadow Milk, you're the worst person in the world, you should go die and all that. Because that's dumb. Why? I don't know why people are like that. I think I've seen videos of people sharing Instagram posts. I've seen Instagram posts where people are quitting the game because of all the backlash people are receiving, especially over ships. Oh my gosh, the Pure Lily, it's so, I'm not necessarily a Pure Lily shipper, although I can understand from a canon lore perspective why people would think that, right? It's very, and they're, it's very wholesome, right? It is very hard to ship the White Lily and Pure Vanilla right now. Ever since the introduction of Shadow Milk, it has been very hard to do that because you're going to get the Shadow Vanilla fans who are going to attack the Pure Lily fans because they don't agree that the blue twink should go with the other half of Dark Enchantress. It's like, look, I don't care who you, as long as it's, like these two, I could care less for either of these two ships. I could see both sides. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I think you guys are both wrong. I ship Pure Vanilla with Dark Cacao Cookie. Look, just because if I ship Pure Vanilla with Dark Cacao Cookie, I'm not going to tell the Pure Lily fans and the Shadow Vanilla fans to kill themselves. That is just not what you do as a living, breathing person on this earth. And to think so, and to think that you can do that and face no repercussions for it, or that that there's going to be no consequences for your actions, it is actually baffling. It's a problem with ships, but it's also what Sofie's explaining here, a very big problem with especially the characters themselves.
That's insane. Get a job. Go.
Literally, get one of humanity's greatest fears: a job.
Outside, but
go touch some grass, and not the grass that's in your kingdom, actual grass that's outside.
People do, and they go beyond. They threaten their family, they dox, and that is unacceptable. That is utterly
that is actually, there is no reason you should be doing that, and I think it's so sad that you get this pent up over a ship between somebody who is another human being behind that keyboard of yours, another human being shipping these two fictional characters, especially who are cookies. They're cookies.
All because of an attachment to a character. Hatred or love doesn't matter. If you're letting this attachment to a character fuel you into literally harming others, that's a problem. Now
that is a huge problem. It is a problem that common sense would be able to fix. Unfortunately, from the looks of it, a lot of these people do not have common sense. Actually tragic. Actually very tragic. And I'd say this too, especially when it comes to doxing, because I remember years ago, I had a friend in the Geometry Dash community, and he was doxed like crazy. He was doxed like crazy. Actual, I'm talking sending pizzas to somebody's house, that type of doxing. So I always have this disdain towards it, and even if that didn't happen, I just think it's actually dumb. It's I like this, and it's oh, well, this is your house, this is your home address, you live here, don't you? It's what is blood doing?
To the fandom perspective on some individual characters, then I can explain it quickly. So number one.
OMG, no way!
Hi, Becky.
What's your power?
Shut up!
Gingerbrave.
I'm trying to watch a video here. I could care less about Rise of Kingdoms! This is a very serious matter. I do not care what your power level is.
Brave. And funny enough, I already
What?
made a whole video about this. You can check it out. And
Okay, I guess I'll have to check this video out too. I don't know why people don't like Gingerbrave. That is actually really weird. I've never heard of a hater for Gingerbrave, but you clearly know something that I don't, right? I mean, you have a whole video on it, so I'll probably check that video out on my own time. I think that's a very interesting video to watch while I'm eating or doing some work.
the link below in the description, please. I need more views. Anyways.
You know what? I'll also put that video in the description so that you guys can watch that as well, because she clearly needs the views.
To put it simply, a lot of people don't like Gingerbrave because of his simple design and his simple character, which is very funny because
Who cares? What? First of all, he's a common cookie. Secondly, this is a gacha game. So, of course, the more like elaborate and intricate characters are going to be wouldn't you guess it, the higher rarity. Wow. What a concept, dude. And you have to consider this too. Cookie Run Kingdom just celebrated their 16th anniversary. No, not Cookie Run Kingdom. Cookie Run. The series of Cookie Run is 16 years old. That is 2 years older, 2 years younger than me. Dude. You are going to sit here and tell me. You're going to sit here and tell me that Gingerbrave's design is basic? He's been around, then some of you guys were even born.
Literally a cookie in the cookie world. There is nothing wrong with looking like a cookie in the cookie world, but for some reason that's sin now.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's like one of the main reasons why people do not vibe with Gingerbrave.
I vibe with
another
them,
character that the fandom completely ruined, and it's literally by their own admission, is Okshan and Rebel Cookie. There is nothing wrong with
Yup. I knew this was coming. I just had a feeling that like there's no way people aren't just hating on Beasts and Ancients. Because I know that Rebel Cookie. I did not know Ochkin Cookie was hated though. That is very surprising. I actually like her design. What the heck? I know Rebel Cookie. People say that Rebel Cookie is too simple. Which isn't he from like Oven Break or something? Like, isn't he from another Cookie Run game that came out like beforehand? It's the same thing with Lemon Cookie, is it not? That like, actually with the whole Citrus Squad, but more so Lemon Cookie surprisingly, which that's freaking crazy. That like, oh, their design is basic. First of all, who cares? I like their design. I think, you don't need to go crazy with Rebel Cookie. I think his design right here is perfectly fine. Same thing with Ochkin. I think Ochkin's pretty cool. She gets me like 1 or 2 gems sometimes in the kingdom. That's awesome. Could I care less for Rebel Cookie? Yeah. Am I gonna dox somebody's address if they like him? No. Why? Because it's common sense.
Nothing wrong in association or anything, but it's solely by their design. The fandom just gets, dare I say, racist? Racist. Because they said, oh, look at that, Chinese cookies, Chinese knockoff, oh.
What the heck? Wow, Chinese knockoff? It's almost like they're also, Chinese, really? Like, bro. It's almost like Dev Sisters is this, like, you wouldn't believe it, but Dev Sisters is a Korean company. Who would have known that they would have had Asian references? Who would have known that the country based in Korea, which is in Asia, who would believe that they would have Asian representation? Whoa, that's crazy! I don't see you, like, going after, like, Peach Blossom. Oh, but Peach Blossom's design is friggin' peak. It's like, it's not even, like, that different. He's in a Hanfu too, right? Actually, same thing with... Oh my goodness. I can't take it anymore. You've got to be kidding me, dude.
Look, this little cookie is China version of a cookie. It's like the second Death Sisters, a company in Korea, in Asia, they there make, characters that are, inspired by their culture.
Wow! That's crazy! That's crazy! Next thing oh my gosh. Next thing you're gonna tell me is that anime is gonna have Japanese culture. Whoa! Oh my gosh, what a crazy concept! Oh my goodness. Never done before. Chat, write that down. Write that down right now. This is such a unique concept. We need to capitalize on this right now. Whoa, that's crazy, dude.
Suddenly, everyone just suddenly became racist. Everyone just suddenly just points and says shiny.
Also, what's with the fandom's obsession with like racism? Cookie Run Kingdom is like the least racist game that I've seen. Which I know it sounds like that I've played a lot of racist games, right? But that's not what I mean. It's a game where I don't even see how you could attribute something to being racist, or how you could be racist with something. It's actually crazy how you pull nothing out of your little magician's hat. You're supposed to pulled a bunny out of you pulled your top hat out of midair. That's actually crazy. Really indicative of not everybody, but what some people in the fandom think about when it comes to these characters.
Chinese knockout. It's just very disappointing. It is very disappointing.
I agree.
That this is coming from a fandom that clearly knows that this is from that the game is from a Korean company, and they aren't, and they don't really hide their origins because they literally have a whole kingdom based around their culture and many customs and that stuff. But to suddenly just act like this, it's just very disappointing. And also the fact that this just again, it leaves a stain on a character, even though this has nothing to do with the characters themselves.
It's the perspective. It's unfortunately just the perspective of the fandom themselves, because it's them thinking one thing. It's like a pipeline. It's they headcanon a character, and then they try to apply it to the fanon, and then they take that fanon, and then that gets misconstrued. Then they try to apply it to the canon of the game, and then when the canon of the game tells them otherwise, then they hate the game and the people who agree with the canon of the game, because it's almost wow, it's almost like the game that you're basing your canon off of, or head canon off of, is the ultimate. It's almost like John Dev Sisters has the final say on what happens in a game made by Dev Sisters. Wow, that's crazy.
Have this baggage stuck with them, and that just sucks. Lastly, this is more of another overall reason as to why a fandom can ruin a character, but this is headcanons. Now, there is nothing wrong with headcanons, alright? Headcanons are essentially, stuff you come up with a character and they're just canon personally for you. But I want to remind you all that headcanons are called headcanons for a reason. There are aspects of a character that are only canons in your head, that are only canon for you. These are things you completely made up about a character. Now, a bad habit this fandom has is that for some reason they let their headcanons literally take over canon. Literally.
That's what I'm saying! That's literally what I'm saying! That is I said it first. Give me my money. I'm just kidding. Copyright, hand over the cash, fork it over right now. I'm just kidding. But I'm so glad you brought that up. I am so glad you brought that up. I was literally just talking about this. It is such a problem that, like I said, other fandoms, dude. I was in the. Oh my gosh. It was to a lesser extent. Okay, I was in a lot of fandoms during quarantine, and one fandom I was in was the Danganronpa fandom. And while it wasn't in my experience, it wasn't to the same extent as this is, it was still somewhat of a problem that people would take these characters and then be kind of misunderstand them. It's one thing to have a headcanon, but it's another thing to think that your headcanon is actual canon, and then you get mad at the actual canon for not adhering to what you think in your head. Like I said, it's just like what happened with Hazbin Hotel when the episodes were rolling out. I think it happened a little bit with Helga Boss, but more so with Hazbin Hotel. I remember with Danganronpa, I think I can draw a lot of thinking about it, I can draw a lot of similarities between Shadow Milk in Cookie Run Kingdom and Kokichi from Danganronpa V3. So if you don't know who Kokichi is, his whole thing is basically, not obviously this isn't the main part of his character, right? But a lot of what is Kokichi is that he is a liar. Or is he? He's oh, I'm lying, or am I? Do you know how Shadow Milk has a voice line that's if I said that I would, I don't know if he says it, but he says, I think he does, right? Where he says like, oh, if I said that I'm lying, would that be a lie? Or something like that, right? Kokichi's sort of that same way where he's this like big, like puppet, like trying to pull all the he's trying to pull all the strings and like, you know, he's sort of like, there's some similarities to Shadow Milk and Kokichi, right? But his thing is like, oh, I could be lying, but I could also not be lying, right? Typically, from what I remember, he was lying. I would need to go back and look and check. But he was like, he did tell the truth sometimes, and he told lies sometimes. And that's what made him kind of an interesting character. It's that like, oh, he's like a wild card. Like, you don't know what's really happening. I mean, I think there was a point in the game where like, oh yeah, his whole thing is haha, just kidding. I think there was a point in the game where he pretended to be dead, right? And then he's like, oh, it's just a lie, right? But even like the fandom for Danganronpa they kind of did the same thing with Shadow where they portray him as this like, this silly little guy, like, ooh, this silly little guy. That's what this sort of reminds me of, and But with Danganronpa, people like actually understood his character. Like, you had the people that like kind of like missed the point, but they didn't like. But at least with Kokichi, people understood that was his character. Shadow Milk, people understand, but there's a lot more people who don't understand or try to make their headcanon part of the actual canon. And then when somebody tells them otherwise, they like get all mad about it. Big problem. Any fandom really, like I said, any fandom really, but it's a really big problem here, and I know it was somewhat of a problem in like the Hazbin Hotel fandom and the Danganronpa fandom, among other ones that I've been in throughout my life.
Just become the whole their whole perception, their whole grip on a character. And if someone disagrees with them or has like a different view, the usual, they get attacked, they get everything, and even attack the official Cookie Run Kingdom's social media because something did not align with their headcanon.
I know.
It's just delusional.
Bro.
Absurd.
You're telling me that Shadow Milk isn't this blue twink, but is an actually multifaceted character, a broken character who was once the bringer of knowledge, but now is the something of deceit. I forgot what his title was. It was something of deceit, but because the world is full of lies, and you're telling me that he's a multifaceted character and that he's much more than silly little guy. It's like, yes, and it's like, oh, how dare you? That doesn't align with what I think of the character. I'm gonna beat you with hammers now.
Insane. Again, it is canon in your head. Just because it's in your head.
It's almost like it's called a headcanon. That's crazy. Throughout my life, I've never really understood people, and now that I'm older, I still don't understand people. Funny how that works.
It's real, but it's a very bad habit that people that like this fandom has, and it's just like, listen, man, I'm not saying you can't have fun. I have fun too. Having fun is good, but you cannot be obsessive over that fun. If your fun little headcanon literally just it literally has this much of a grip on you, you need to calm down. Dare I say, get a job application.
Literally.
All right, kids. What?
Like, you could be, and that's the thing. This isn't her necessarily saying, I agree with you, Sofie. This isn't her necessarily saying you can't enjoy a character. You cannot enjoy a character. No, that's not what she's saying. She's saying you can enjoy a character, you can have your little own headcanon, but you need to understand that there is a difference between a headcanon and the actual canon. That is what she's saying.
We learned that this fandom needs to, most of the people in this fandom need to, 1, get jobs, and 2, touch grass. But 3, you know, as much as powerful as the fandom is, I think it's best if we don't let their actions ruin our perspective, our perspective or view or our liking of a character, you know. And I understand if a fandom's actions ruin your perception of a character. That's understandable, 100% understandable. But we shouldn't like rely. We should not like let it affect us, because at the end of the day, it's best to enjoy like a piece of media themselves. Canon is what's canon, and yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I agree. That's really okay. I agree with the whole takeaway right there. I think because like it's so funny that people there's a lot of gatekeeping when it comes to like a lot of fandoms, right? Especially this one where oh you like this character? Well, actually you can't like this character because I like this character. Or oh, you can't like this ship because I ship. Oh, you can't like Hollyberry Cookie, or because you can't like the Hollyberry Cookie and Eternal Sugar ship because I ship her with Hollytaya Dragon Cookie. It's like, okay, even though I think her whole thing, I think I've seen a video of Sofie's where she's like, she doesn't like the Beast Extinction ships. I have not seen the video. I just seen the thumbnail and it's my watch later. I need to watch it. I'll probably watch it later tonight. But I know that she at least does not like the ships, right? Or doesn't like the Beast Extinction ships. I kind of, like, I understand why you wouldn't want, I understand why, but I am, like, for me, I like to, of course, look at the canon to see, like, how I would ship, right? So even though I ship Eternal Sugar with Hollyberry, right? I can understand people who ship Hollyberry Cookie with Hollytaya Dragon Cookie. You know, I've seen that story on YouTube, and it's, you know, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I think it makes so much sense. There's a video that's like, I'll probably link it in the description. There's like 16, it's something along the lines of like, 16 minutes of Hollyberry Cookie and Hollytaya Dragon Cookie acting like an old couple. So I've seen that video, and then I watched like an actual like Royal Knight like story video, I think. Yeah. Like I've seen that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? It makes sense. Like even though I mean I could also just ship them, but like you don't have to be limited to like one ship, right? You can have multiple ships. Have all the ships you want, as long as it's not abhorrent, right? Legally consenting to, or consent, all parties are consenting. As long as it's like that, I think your ship should be fine. I can probably explain why I think Hollyberry Cookie and Eternal Sugar Cookie is a good ship. But you have to consider that it is all my opinion, right? It is still going to be my opinion at the end of the day. So just because I ship them doesn't mean I ship Hollyberry Cookie with... I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I don't like Hollytaya Dragon Cookie because they're shipped with Hollyberry Cookie, and Hollyberry Cookie I think should be with Eternal Sugar. Like, I don't care. I really don't care who you ship her with. As long as it is not, like, with a child or her relatives, I think it should be fine. I think it is fine. Right? I'm not going to attack you or send death threats. Because why would I do that? It is your ship, it is your opinion, it is what makes you happy, just as the Eternal Sugar and Hollyberry ship makes me happy. And I think, and I'm not going to attack Sofie, right? Just because she doesn't like the Beast Extinction ships doesn't mean I have to attack her. If she doesn't like it, she doesn't like it. If I could find problems with every single one, but I can also find some benefits with every single one. That's just who I am. I look at these things multifacetedly. And, for all I know, Sofie does as well. Like I said, I'll have to watch the actual video, right? Like how I am, I look at it in both ways and be like, okay, this is what I think, right? I don't think somebody should be like, oh, because Sofie doesn't like B6H ship, I shouldn't like it. It's like, dude, as long as you aren't shipping relatives together, and as long as you aren't shipping adults and childs together, Julia, as long as you aren't doing those things, as long as you are not doing those things, you should be fine with your ships. You should not be attacked for liking two characters together that make you happy. Because a lot of people, the reason why people ship characters to one another is because they like the character. If I sit here and I could ship, Black Lemonade and Shiny Glitter together. That's because I like the characters. Especially Black Lemonade, because Black Lemonade is my favorite character in the game. Right? They make me. Same thing with Black Forest and Wedding Cake. Like, I ship those two together because I really like the characters. I like Seafaring and Moonlight. I'm trying to build a deck with them in the Cookie Run Braveverse, because that just came out in America. I like those ships, but if somebody doesn't like those ships, that's fine too. Everybody liking the same thing is boring. It is incredibly boring. The fact that we're able to discourse among what ships we like, and especially ships that share one character, and that we're able to peacefully deliberate over those and find some common stuff, some common ground, and maybe a little bit of differences. Deliberate over the differences in a peaceful and respectful manner, I think is amazing, and something that the majority of the Cookie Run Kingdom fandom should learn. If I don't agree with something with Sofie, I'll just say that I don't agree with it. But I'm not going to say that she should die because of it. I'm just going to be like, hey, I don't agree with it. Here's why. And I do so in a peaceful and respectful manner. At least I tried it. I try. If I get out of control, I will. That is on me. If you feel like I'm being. If you feel like I'm completely wrong, okay, fine. Please explain. Please explain your side. I may understand your side, I may not. The fact that we're able to be able to deliberate over it is a really cool thing. And if you agree or disagree with me, then tell me. I would love to hear you guys out.
Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Have I not mentioned something? Do you wish that I was more specific? I was gonna be more specific, but if I was, this video would have been much, much longer. And yeah.
Don't worry, Sofie. I got you. I have no idea how long this video is, but yeah, okay. I have no idea how long this video is, so I guess we'll find out, right? I'll be the bearer of details for you.
Let me know in the comments below. Also, a little reminder to like and subscribe. That's really cool. Helps me a lot. And
yeah, subscribe to Sofie.
Yeah.
Sofie can sleep.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
And that's the end of the video. I really liked this video. I think it was a very interesting video, and I really liked, most parts of the video. I think I agree with most of the things you say, or with what you said in the video, here. Most things. Besides the, little offhand comment on, the children's game thing. By the way, the whole children's game thing, I'm not defending. I'm just saying, this game is not whether it's a children's game or not, sexual content should just not be that widespread. Right, I completely agree on that. But most things you say are very accurate. They're very accurate of the fandom as of right now, and all we can really hope for, me, you, and the actual good people in the fandom themselves, is that we sort of rise up against the tyranny that is doxers and people telling other people to die. Which that should not be a problem, but unfortunately it is. But the fact that we're able to address this, I think it's a somewhat good step in the right direction. I think it shows, even the good people in the fandom who are overwhelmed by all this negativity and bad things that's happening, that there is some sort of spark of hope, that there are people who are good and that can explain things and that can understand that what the majority of the fandom is doing is not only bad, but can actually lead to some serious repercussions, and also of course it's bad and stuff, right? but also to like that we're able to understand that like these are sort of the things that shouldn't be a thing as a fandom, and that we're able to just sort of inform people about that. I think that's really cool. Very cool and epic video. Yeah, that's really about it about my thoughts. I thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I have a bunch of links in the description. I highly recommend that you go check out Sofie No Sleep. I mean, I know she has like a bunch more subscribers than I do, but I don't care. I'm just going to send you guys over there because from the couple videos I've seen, she's pretty cool. I really like her videos and stuff. You know, subscribe to her. Have a good rest of your day. See ya.